Dozens of criminal street gang members arrested and charged with crimes ranging from murder to drug trafficking and the smuggling of illegal guns.
America, law enforcement just pulled off one of the biggest takedowns in California history. Operation Shot Caller resulted in 89 arrests of the Bulldog gang members who were running a criminal empire inside of prison cells. We're talking about gun trafficking, drug smuggling, and murder conspiracies, all coordinated by gang leaders locked up in Salinas prison. But here's the kicker: the ringleader was literally running the entire operation from behind bars, proving our prison system has massive security gaps that gang members are exploiting.
This operation led to nearly 90 arrests. The suspects are charged with everything from drug trafficking to murder. And officials say this is just the next step in them dismantling organized crime in the Central Valley.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This massive bust shows how modern street gangs operate like criminal corporations, and it's happening right in Fresno County, the same county that just flipped for Trump after 20 years of voting Democrat. Coincidence? I don't think so. Let me break down the scope of this operation. Law enforcement arrested 89 people, with 38 people facing federal charges. That's the most serious level you can get. 11 of them were charged with conspiracy to commit murder. This wasn't some small-time operation. This required 550 law enforcement personnel working together for months.
Law enforcement putting a leash on the Bulldog street gang.
They operated like a corporation, but their business was crime, chaos, and fear.
The FBI launched Operation Shot Caller in early spring.
The FBI targeted 3 specific Bulldog gang factions.
Those arrested, members of Huron Dog Life, Kalinga Dog Life, and San Joaquin Ruthless Perro, all cliques within the Bulldogs.
These aren't just neighborhood troublemakers. These are sophisticated criminal organizations operating across multiple counties with access to Interstate 5.
This gang wasn't just tagging walls. They were trafficking guns, flooding the streets with dangerous drugs, smuggling drugs into jail, and sending orders out of jail.
But here's what's really disturbing. The ringleader of this entire operation was Ignacio Giddy Sanchez, and he was running everything inside Salinas prison. Think about that for a second. Our prison system is so compromised that gang leaders can coordinate gun trafficking, drug smuggling, and murder plots from their cells. This is where the story gets absolutely wild. These gang members were smuggling drugs into jails through body cavities and holes through prison walls. They had an entire command structure operating behind bars, with the imprisoned leader giving orders to gang members on the outside. The Bulldog gang has existed since the 1980s and has an estimated of 6,000 to 10,000 members throughout Fresno County alone. That's bigger than most small cities. And they're operating like a criminal corporation with leadership hierarchies and multiple county operations. Speaking of criminal organizations that exploit vulnerable people through complex systems they don't understand, that is exactly what's happening with our seniors every single day with Medicare. These gang members use the complexity of the prison system to run their operations, and Medicare scammers are using the complexity of the healthcare system to run theirs. Look, just like these Bulldog gang leaders had inside knowledge of how to manipulate the system, Medicare salespeople have inside knowledge of how to manipulate seniors. They know exactly what buttons to press, which fears to exploit, and how to make you think you're getting a great deal when you're actually getting ripped off. That's why Chapter is so crucial. These gang members were running criminal enterprises from prison. Medicare predators are running scams from call centers, targeting seniors who don't have anybody looking after them. Chapter's licensed advisors are like having your own personal FBI task force for Medicare decisions. They know all the tricks, they understand the system inside and out, and they're not getting paid commission to put expensive plans that you don't need. Here's the difference. Gang members exploited system weaknesses for their profit. Medicare scammers exploit systems complexity for their profit. But Chapter's experts use their system knowledge to protect you and save you money. If you're 65 or approaching Medicare eligibility, don't let predators exploit your confusion. Get somebody who actually knows how to work the system in your favor. Check out Chapter at askchapter.org/Tyson or call 270-467-0614. When criminals are everywhere, you need somebody who actually fights for you. Now, speaking of fighting for people, let me show you how law enforcement solved an 8-year-old murder case.
We're not just arresting individuals, we're disrupting entire criminal operations.
They say this was a long, expensive process, and it required all hands on deck.
The real heroes are not the people who are standing up here. The real heroes are the people who are standing in the back of this room.
Sheriff John Zanoni revealed that his operation allowed them to solve a 2017 murder case.
We went back 8 years and solved the case to bring justice to that family.
That's how deep these criminal networks go. They're not just committing crimes today, they're getting away with murders from years ago. And here's what should make every parent furious. 3 children were arrested in this operation. District Attorney Lisa Schmidt-Camp explained why gangs are increasingly targeting kids.
The way that the legislature has acted in the last 10 years makes it almost impossible for prosecutors at the state level to effectively prosecute juveniles.
Schmidt-Camp emphatic that state legislatures' policies have perpetuated a crime cycle that fuels the deadly violence perpetrated by local gangs.
DA Schmidt-Camp didn't hold back.
Who are gun-toting, drug-selling, sometimes murderers. They assault people with weapons, they steal, they rob, they loot. And it's a behavior that's encouraged by their families. And there is not a lot of accountability.
This is what happens when you have soft on crime policies that treat juvenile criminals with kid gloves. Gangs aren't stupid. They know that they can use kids to commit serious crimes because the consequences are very minimal. DA Schmidt-Camp delivered some brutal truth about California's failed criminal justice policies.
Schmidt-Camp saying that watering down California's judicial system has basically turned gang violence into a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I hope that we can really encourage and make people in Sacramento who pass these laws understand that without the ability to properly house inmates who are doing these terrible acts all over our small communities, all over this state.
And the DA goes on to say,
without the ability to incarcerate them and actually do something for them while they are in prison, to rehabilitate them, to teach them skills, to give them job skills, that's where we need to put our money.
Even Attorney General Rob Bonta had to agree with her critique, at least partially. But here's the thing, this is what happens when you elect Democrats who care more about criminal rights than victim rights.
I vehemently agree with the district attorney's comments around the need to do more when it comes to rehabilitation.
Here's what's really interesting about this story. This massive gang bust happened in Fresno County. This is the same county that just voted for Trump for the first time since 2004. Trump cracked the code in Fresno County, winning 58.89% of voters who showed up. Fresno's most pro-Trump neighborhoods are along the San Joaquin River bluffs, where some precincts exceeded 75 or even 80% support. These are communities that have been dealing with gang violence for decades under Democrat leadership. You think it's a coincidence that the county finally votes Republican after 20 years and suddenly we're seeing massive law enforcement operations take down criminal gangs? I don't think so. When you have leadership that supports law enforcement instead of coddling criminals, this is what happens.
But the operation's not done yet. 4 suspects are still on the run.
We know who you are, and we know where to find you. And law enforcement will not stop until you're brought in to answer for your charges.
America, Operation Shot Caller sends a clear message. When you have leadership that supports law enforcement, criminals get arrested instead of coddled. This operation disrupted an entire criminal network that was running like a corporation, complete with prison-based leadership and multi-county operations. The fact that gang leaders were running criminal operations from inside prison cells shows how broken our system has become under soft on crime policies. But when 550 law enforcement officers worked together for months to take down 89 gang members, including solving an 8-year-old murder case, this is what real justice looks like. This is part of the FBI's larger Summer Heat initiative, a nationwide operation to dismantle organized crime all over the country. The Fresno County leaders say that they're honored to kick this off, and they should be. This is what happens when communities say enough is enough to criminal gangs terrorizing our neighborhoods. The message to the 4 fugitives still on the run is simple. We know who you are. We know where to find you. That's the kind of law enforcement leadership America needs more of. DA Schmidt-Camp was right.
To rehabilitate them, to teach them skills, to give them job skills, that's where we need to put our money. Because without it, we're just going to keep spinning.
Just keep spinning. But when you combine strong law enforcement with communities that vote for leaders who support them, you get results like Operation Shot Caller. I'll keep you updated as they track down those final 4 fugitives. And remember, this is what happens when communities choose law and order over chaos and crime. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.